Welcome back to another Fallout 76 video on the channel, and thanks for taking the time to check out this video. Today we're going to be having a discussion on if we'll eventually get another nuclear silo added to Fallout 76, and why something like this is definitely needed. Now, I just want to make this abundantly clear that at the moment of recording this, there's absolutely zero evidence or indication that we'll be getting another nuclear silo added to the game. However, there's a tiny piece of evidence associated with the game that actually showed that there were plans to have a fourth nuclear silo. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments, as this is something I would love to get people's opinion on. And who knows, something like this, and if it gets the attention of the developers, could possibly chain react this idea to become a reality. So consider dropping a like on the video and sharing it with your friends around the Fallout community. So let's dive right on in. As mentioned, today's video is more of a discussion on why I personally feel, and I'd say there's a lot of players out there who possibly feel the same way about this, that there should be another nuclear silo added to the game. As of today, and since the launch of the game in 2018, there's only ever been 3 nuclear silos that you can use to launch a nuke: Site Alpha, Site Bravo, and Site Charlie, and the intention behind these silos is that you, the player, can launch a nuke to trigger a world boss event on the map so that players on the server can come together and fight a world boss, receive a ton of great loot, hop into another silo and repeat the same process, and then continue about your day-to-day adventures. Now, before we discuss why a fourth nuclear silo should be added to the game, we need to go back to 2018 and look at the landscape of Fallout 76 back then. Look at that, isn't it a lovely landscape? I'm just kidding. What I mean is that back in 2018, we only ever had one world boss event that we could actually trigger, which was Scorched Earth. And at this stage, everyone and their grandmother has taken part in Scorched Earth and probably defeated the Scorched Beast Queen in a few million different ways. But that was just it. It was the only event that we could actually trigger from launching a nuke. And well, with only 3 nuclear silos available, there wasn't a lot of variety on where you could target your nuke. Unless you were welcoming your friends to the wasteland by dropping a well-placed nuke right on top of their camp, or if you were farming for flux. However, as time went on, as we eventually got the release of the Wastelanders DLC, and with a few delayed patches that followed that, we eventually received a new world boss event in the form of a colossal problem, where after dropping a nuke on top of Monongah Mine, you're tasked with defeating a Wendigo Colossus who goes by the name of Earl Williams. With this addition to the game, it gave players somewhat of a variety of where nukes could actually be launched, and players could then alternate between triggering the Scorched Earth event and also the Colossal Problem event. Moving on from that, and then in 2022, we received our third world boss event that came in the form of Seismic Activity, which was released alongside the Nuke World on Tour update, where upon launching a nuke on top of the abandoned Mineshaft 2, just across from Nuke World, you could spawn the hideous Ultrasite Titan. So, as of 2022, players had a lot of variety when it came to the world boss events that they could trigger, and if you take a step back and look at the variety of events that we had, you could use Site Alpha, Site Bravo, and Site Charlie to trigger each of these events, one after the other. Bringing ourselves to present day, and alongside the release of the Skyline Valley update, we received our 4th world boss event that has come in the form of Neurological Warfare, where upon launching a nuke on any location whatsoever in the Skyline Valley region, you'll be tasked with defeating 3 Storm Goliaths. And to be honest, a lot of players have been really enjoying this new addition, and for several different reasons. And to be honest, one of them being that this event is currently broken, as you can pretty much just solo this event by whipping out a Gamma Gun or an Auto Axe, and each Storm Goliath will just fall to the floor, because as of right now, and due to an oversight when creating the Storm Goliaths, all 3 of them are susceptible to radiation damage, as they're all missing the immune to radiation tag. Now, don't worry, this will definitely be patched very soon, so make use of it while you can. But this brings us to our main topic in today's video, and after a brief little history lesson, you can probably see where I'm actually going with this, and you might actually agree with me already. As sad as it is to say, there will come a day and time when Fallout 76 will stop being supported, and DLCs and updates won't be a thing anymore. I know, it's been a long road, but that day will inevitably come. But we've been very much reassured that this country road has a long way to go yet, and considering that we still have a very long way to go, now is a better time than any to begin looking at introducing a fourth nuclear silo to the game. As we've discussed in our brief history lesson, we currently have 4 world boss events that we can now trigger, and considering the difference in variety that we had compared to the release of the game back in 2018, these events have come as a very welcomed addition to the game. But the problem many of us face now, and more than likely as time goes on and as we receive more updates and then more than likely more world boss events, is that there's currently not enough nuke silos to cover the amount of world boss events that we can trigger in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, I know there's a few arguments that actually go against this, as one of them being that players have the option to launch nukes and trigger whatever world boss event that they actually wish to. I mean, if you want to launch 3 nukes and do 3 neurological warfare events, then that's your choice. As I said, people now have a variety on what they want to trigger. But like anything, repetition becomes stale, and then eventually one event will become more popular than the other. I mean, I can't remember the last time I was on a server and seen a seismic activity event trigger more than a scorched earth event or even a colossal problem. But then again, that comes down to the person and their choice in what they want to trigger. However, I personally would love the option to consecutively launch a nuke on each of these events, so for example, one after the other, as I've started to feel a little bit disappointed that after launching my 3rd nuke, I can't do a 4th world boss event, because firstly, there's not enough silos in the world to do a 4th, and you also need to wait for at least 3 hours before you can launch another nuke in any of the silos. And then with that, the only options I have is to jump to another server and hope that somebody will trigger the event that I didn't get to do, or I can ask a friend to run through a silo for me and launch a nuke on their server. Now, I know it's very easy just to hop to another server, it doesn't take that long, but again, you're leaving it up to pure chance that somebody will trigger the event that you actually want to take part in. Circling back to what I mentioned at the beginning of this video, there were plans or hints that a 4th nuclear silo was meant to be in the game from launch. I'm going to play a quick little snippet from a promotional Fallout 76 video that I'd say a lot of you have probably seen, so let's roll the footage.
The time has come to seek out greater means of protection. Nuclear armaments. That's right. Courtesy of your Uncle Sam, these wonders of the atomic age can be found right in your own backyard. But how does a fella like you acquire nuclear launch codes, you may ask?
And there you go. As you can see from that promotional Fallout 76 Vault-Tec video, there were meant to be 4 nuclear silos. Now, I know their locations differ a little bit from what we actually have in the game. As you can see, there was meant to be a nuclear silo in the Mire, but we could probably conclude that this is more than likely Site Bravo, as Site Bravo sits on the border between the Savage Divide and the Mire region. There's 2 more in the Savage Divide, and again, we can conclude that these became what is now Site Alpha and Site Charlie, but as you can see, there's a 4th nuclear silo symbol located in the Cranberry Bog. Now, from my own investigation, I couldn't find anything in the files or upon reading on the Fallout wiki that indicated any form of cut content being associated with a 4th nuclear silo, or possibly a Site Delta. But this doesn't mean that there were never plans somewhere in the Bethesda think tank for another nuclear silo in this region. Again, I know this is just promotional content for the game, but it backs up the theory that there were intentions to implement a 4th silo and that it actually could be done. On the other hand, back in the early days, launching 3 nukes on the server did have its issues, from frame rate drops, server instability, and the inevitable server crash, but those issues were quickly addressed as it became a major issue for players, being one of the core fundamentals of gameplay. Moving on from that, we then have to look at how does this get implemented into the game. Understandably, there are lore implications tied to this, because since 2018 we've been under the assumption, and according to West Virginian lore in the Fallout universe, there were 3 nuclear silos. But on the other hand, I really feel that a quality of life feature such as adding a 4th silo really does trump getting a little bit frustrated on the changes to the lore. Lore aspects can be addressed, and we know that Bethesda are masters at writing things like this into the universe, but the next thing to ask is, where could this silo be located? The answer is anywhere. Absolutely anywhere. I mean, this kind of idea is perfect for something like a potential Enclave DLC, around the same size of the Steel Rain and Steel Dawn DLC, where possibly you, the player, uncover a 4th silo that has been hidden from the Enclave records, where upon launching the nuke from this silo, you spawn, insert major shocked face, a world boss. This world boss could be anything, some Enclave abomination style thing that has over 1 billion health points or whatever, but the point is that this is something I feel can be easily included into the game, and of course given the right amount of trials and testing, eventually released into the live servers to give players the option to trigger a minimum of 4 world boss events for the entire server. And the other thing is that this silo doesn't have to be any way different from the others. It can be a simple copy and paste job from the other silos, because if you didn't know, every silo is the exact same. The layout, the enemies, everything is the exact same. Now, I know this would take a little bit of testing because obviously we wouldn't want a repeat of 2018 and have server crashes and server instability, but that's what the likes of the public test server is for. Testing, giving feedback, and tweaking things until it's fit for release. And lastly, another thing that definitely needs to be looked at for the future and as a quality of life change is the cooldown time on using nuclear silos. 3 hours is way too long. I mean, even if they reduce the cooldown time to an hour minimum, then that gives players enough time in between events to then go back and launch another nuke after all 3 or hopefully 4 silos have been used. And with that, we come to the end of our discussion of today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as I would love to hear your thoughts and possibly ideas that I might have missed that could help spur on something like this to actually happen. And well, if you think it shouldn't be a thing, well, let me know anyway. We'll have more videos on the way covering some of the upcoming changes on the public test server and also some weapon reviews later in the week. So if you don't want to miss out and you enjoyed today's video, consider dropping a like and make sure to click that bell notification icon. As always, I want to say a massive thank you to all of our channel members and subscribers over here on the channel. Your support is absolutely incredible, and I can't thank you enough for helping us get to where we are today. And as a thank you, you can use my creator code BTPTS76 until July 17th for 20% off of your entire purchase over on the Bethesda Gear store. And to you, the viewer, the person who stumbled upon this video, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, Vault Dwellers, stay safe out there in the wasteland. Welcome to Vault 93, and I'll catch you all in the next video.